This is Andy Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Betfred, and I'm delighted to be joined by Marcus Morrison back at Gallagher's gym for the first time. Marcus, first and foremost, how are you doing?
I'm good. Glad to be back home, and yeah, things looking good.
That's good to hear. Now, obviously, let's get into your return to Gallagher's gym. I know we did an interview over Zoom towards the beginning of lockdown when you first joined back up with Joe, but now you're back in camp once again. How does it feel to be able to get back in there and see everyone once again?
Yeah, it's good. Obviously, this lockdown has been, a bit of a nightmare for everyone. But I was in for a couple of weeks before sort of lockdown kicked in, and it was nice to be back and settling. And yeah, straight away from session one, this before lockdown, it was just like coming back home and seeing all the lads and Tash and being back with Joe and the boys. It was nice. And then obviously lockdown kicked in, and I stayed ticking over lockdown, tried staying relatively fit, so I didn't come back too out of shape, and I did that. And I've been back in for, it's my third week back in, third or fourth week now, and yeah, things are going good, and I can't wait to get a date and get something penciled in.
How frustrating a period was that for you, knowing that you'd come back for a couple of weeks and then all of a sudden lockdown was put into place and you kind of had to go away from the gym and do your own thing?
Yeah, especially with like I said, settling back in. Yeah. I just wanted to settle in and crack on, but it weren't to be. And like I said, I tried staying fit, so I wasn't too out of shape. But it's everyone's in the same boat. It weren't to be expected or seen, but it is what it is, and it was frustrating. But everyone's in the same boat.
What's it like when you come? You've come back into the camp now, and you've got Callum Smith, who's the #1 super middleweight in the world. Liam Smith trying to get another big fight. Talks of Cal Brook, Jesse Vargas, potential world title fights down the line for him. Jose Burton obviously got the golden contract tournament. Everybody's flying. Tasha Jonas with Terry Harper as well. What's it like to come back into a gym that seems to be in such a good place?
Do you know what? Like, this is gonna sound mad, but like it's always been like this from when I first joined Joe years ago. It's got to be, coming up to, it'd be over 10 years ago that I joined Joe, and I was a kid then. I was an amateur. Some of my best days as an amateur with Joe, my best in fact. And we had the likes of John Murray, Matthew Macklin, who was doing massive things then. Matthew Macklin was fighting for world titles. John Murray was fighting for European titles, and he was doing big things. So like Joe's always had sort of a success breeds success sort of thing, and you don't really, until you go away and look back, you don't really notice. And then, like I said, just settling back in, and it sounds mad to sort of the average person or someone from outside, but yeah, Callum's fighting for a world title, defending his world title. Liam's looking for another world title. I've been around Crawler, Quigg, so it's always been sort of a conveyor belt of success, if you like, and it's just, I'm just waiting on my time to come now.
What is it like when you reflect on kind of the success the gym's had and the guys you've been able to work with? When you look back over it all, what kind of goes through your mind?
Like I said, because it's been so long, it just, like I said, it's a bit mad to say, but it just becomes normality, if you like. From the inside, it's just your daily business. You go to work, you go home, and it's just routine being amongst these guys. Yeah, it's amazing. And I'm fortunate and lucky to be amongst a group of lads and Tash, who's fighting for, for a world title. To be around it. Look, Callum's in now. There's just great fighters around you, and it's nice to be around, because it rubbing shoulders, and hopefully some of that dust rubs off on you.
Obviously, at this moment in time, it must be a little frustrating in the sense that you're coming into the gym and you're working in either 2s or 3s, and everybody's coming in separate times. How eager are you to kind of get back to that point where everybody can come in and work at the same time?
Yeah, this is the first time this has happened with us. Joe's always been big on everyone working together and sort of as one, and pushing each other. So sometimes you come in, there's 8, 9 of his training, and to be in with just 1 or 2 people, it's a bit weird, but it's got to be done, and you got to stay professional and get on with it. But yeah, I'm looking forward to being a good vibe in the gym again, and a big group of us back in.
Let's obviously get into kind of where you sit with your career now. We're starting to see shows return. We saw them in the US first. Have you caught any of those shows? If so, what's kind of been your thoughts on what they've put on?
Do in terms of like lockdown and stuff, I sort of tried staying fit myself, but I switched off from boxing. I just thought, right, I'll rest, take my mind off things, because I knew, you know, coming back, you know, it'd be very full on. So I've not really kept up with any of the US shows. But yeah, I think it's time I got my eye back in now and got my eye on the ball. But and listen, I know that there's big fights out there that I've, you know, I see social media stuff, but in terms of watching the boxing, I've not really been too much involved.
We're obviously going to start to see the UK shows return now, waiting for Matchroom to officially announce their shows, and Frank Warren announced some shows a couple of days ago rather. What's kind of your plan? Have you had any talks or anything about what shows you could be getting onto?
Yeah, I know Eddie's putting some shows on, obviously I think August time, and I'd like to get on with them, obviously depending, you know, everything goes right and in talks. But there's been a few names mentioned, you know, in the last few weeks and over the last few months, and even the last year. There's some of the same names are cropping up, and it's only a matter of time before, you know, paths start to cross, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
What names in particular have kind of caught your eye, or have you kind of spoken to anyone about?
The Felix cash fight's been mentioned for a good while now, and I think that's inevitable. That's going to happen sooner rather than later, possibly sooner. I think, you know, given, you know, talks go right and negotiations and stuff. There's the Welborn fight rematch has cropped back up in recent weeks, which, you know, that takes my fancy. You know, it's time I can get some revenge, and, you know, it's a fight I'd welcome. Brian Rose has been mentioned, so there's been names in the hat, but, you know, all three of them fights, you know, for different reasons, all take my fancy, and, you know, for all different reasons, they're all sort of as big as each other, if you like I said, for different reasons. Obviously, for the general public and fans, other fights, no, sort of one of them fights more than others would take, you know, their fancy. But for me, all three of them fights are tasty fights for me for all different reasons. You know, I'd like to get some revenge and put a wrong right in the Welborn fight. So I'd like that fight, and then, you know, I'd be open to the cash fight, given things, and like I said, talks go right. You know, it's a fight, you know, I do want.
Let's just touch on a couple of those. Start off with Jason Welborn. Jason, obviously on the back of his victory against you, he went on, won the British title, then he went and fought for a world title. Did you ever see that in him when you was in the ring with Jason? Did you ever imagine that he could have found himself in that position?
Listen, this is boxing. Things can change within a fight or two, and for him it did. You know, and fair play. You know, he went and did what he said he was going to do, and you know, fair play. But, you know, it's time. You know, I think we can get the rematch on, and like I said, I'll put a wrong right. But, you know, fair play to, he went on. He beat Langford twice. Went on to fight for a world title. You know, dropped back down to light middleweight where he was beat. But, you know, I do think that middleweight is his best weight. You know, it's shown that it's proved in his results. But, you know, I think that fight can be made back at middle. I'm sure that'd take his fancy at middleweight as well. So yeah, I think that fight can be made fairly soon.
Seems to be a fight which he's very, very keen on. Have you had any discussions at all with kind of his team?
Just listen, Joe's my manager. He does all my talking in terms of negotiation stuff. I think it has been put to him, and they've tried to come to some sort of agreement, and maybe they will do, but nothing officially yet. Nothing official.
And obviously that Felix cash fight, I remember interviewing you, must have been about 5 or 6 months ago, and you said back then you was a fight which you was in talks about, and once again everything's been put on the back burner because of his current predicament. Is that something you can anticipate happening in the near future still?
Yeah, definitely. I think I said from the beginning that I think it's inevitable that our paths cross. You know, it could happen sort of later down the line, you know, possibly for bigger titles, but in the back of my mind I think it's going to happen sooner rather than later. Sort of, you know, in terms of who goes on to push on for bigger things, whether it's British titles, European. I think it's going to be a case of us two sort of in a head-to-head race.
Final thing, Marcus, before I do let you go, Fury Joshua, obviously I've asked Hosea just before yourself. We had that announcement just over a week ago now that both had agreed financial terms in principle for a 2-fight deal in 2021. When you heard the news, Marcus, what was your reaction to it?
A bit of a relief, to be honest, because it'd be a shame if that fight never happened. You know, if you look back on, you know, previous fighters, you look back and you think it's a shame that fight never happened. Sort of like the Khan and Brook fight. You know, if that doesn't happen, people look back and say, do you know what, we wish that would have happened. Or who else was there?
Mayweather Pacquiao.
Mayweather Pacquiao earlier on. But in this fight, you know, this is the same sort of thing, but on a much bigger level. And if it never happened, you know, I think a lot of people would be kicking themselves, them included. And it's just good that now they've both agreed on negotiations and stuff, who's going to get what and what not. At least they've come to that agreement. Obviously they've both got to come through fights, but at least, you know, such would they do come through those fights, then, you know, they're on grounds where the fight is close to being made, if you like.
You've obviously still got, you know, a few obstacles there. You mentioned the fights. You got mandatories in Alexander Usyk for AJ and Dillian White for Tyson. Everyone knows that's being dealt with between Dillian and his legal team at the WBC at the minute. But just with AJ and Deontay Wilder, who do you think would give Tyson a tougher test? Anthony Joshua in that undisputed fight, or Deontay Wilder in a rematch?
If you would have asked me this question before Fury and Wilder won, I'd have said Wilder. But now, given what Fury did to Wilder, you're going to have to go with Joshua, in my opinion, because for one, he's undefeated, and what Fury did to Wilder was unbelievable. Like, he schooled him, you know, and he didn't just outbox him, he outfought him, he come forward, he beat him up. Now, once you've done that to a fighter, and then going straight back in with him, it's not. I don't think it's a good idea, in my opinion. So, for that, Joshua, you know, they've not been in the ring together before. You know, Wilder, Fury hasn't had that sort of edge where he knows what to expect. It's all new. You know, it's going to be a completely different type of fight. So, I think this time around, I think it would be Joshua that give him more problems. Although, in my opinion, Fury beats them both.
Marcus, we will leave that there now then, and I will leave you to go and get some food. I know you've been sat there hungry for a while now. I appreciate your time, mate. Before I let you go, what would you like to say to everyone who tunes in to watch our interview?
Just a big thanks for, you know, staying tuned, and, you know, keep your eyes peeled, because there's some big fights to come.
Marcus, it's been a pleasure. I'll catch up with you soon.
Sam,
Thanks for speaking to Social.
Cheers.